Hi, this is George here, and I want you to think about this question for a second. What comes to mind when you think about the word interest? Is it a negative reaction? Is it a positive reaction? Is it neutral? What comes to mind? And be very aware of it for a second. So I want to share with you why I'm asking you this. It turns out when it comes to interest, there are four different groups, and their beliefs around money actually are either limiting them or helping them propel towards their goals. So there are four groups, and we're going to discuss those groups in this series. Three of those groups are losing, and one of them has got the right idea. So the question is, which one are you? Which group are you in? So with that, buckle up and let's dive in. Okay, so I want to start with this quote. Those who understand interest earn it. Those who don't pay it. So at the surface, it sounds interesting and logical, but there's a lot more to what Albert Einstein was saying. So let's start with assuming that we have two people, and let's call this person, so let's just say that this person is your money person. And let's just say this person has $1,000. Okay, now what we're going to assume is there's this world with two people. And in this world, there's only $1,000. That's all the money in the world. Now, we're going to assume no inflation for now, just to keep it simple. Now, imagine now this person needs to borrow money. Okay, so he's going to borrow $500. He's going to borrow $500, and this person is going to charge him 10%. So that means he has to pay him back $50. So there's a $50 in interest, okay, over the 1 year. So now this person now has $500, and this person now has $500. Okay. So after some time, this person has paid back the $500 and still owes. So now this person is back to zero. This person is back to 1,000. But this person owes still $50. Only the $50 in interest. So now at this point, this person now has all the money in the world. Okay. This person owes $50 and now has to pay him the remaining 50, but this person has all the money in the world. What's he going to do? So at this point, he has three options. And we're going to explore all three. This person can borrow more. So that's your first option. So let's try that, and then we'll talk about the two other options. So now he owes $50, and he says to this person, can I borrow $500? So he borrows a second $500. Okay, so there's a second $500 that he's going to owe $50 on it. So now he owes $550. So now this person is back to having $500 because that's how much he borrowed, but he owes a second $50. So both of these, okay? And therefore now this person has $500 left because he lent the $500. This person has $500. He owes now $100, and this person has $500. So after some time, he pays him back the $500. So now this $500 is gone. This person now has all the money in the world again. But this person owes $100. So obviously now he's getting into more debt. He's digging himself into a pretty bad situation. And so therefore, borrowing more doesn't work. Borrowing more is going to keep getting him into more and more debt. So that's not a good idea. I'm going to put an X here. The second thing he could do is he can file for bankruptcy and say, you know what, I'm going to start all over BK. And the third option is to work for free or for very little to pay this debt off. Okay, so now these are his three options. He can keep borrowing, which doesn't work. He can file bankruptcy, or he can work for free or for very little money just to pay back what he's owed. This person still controls all the money in the world in this case. Now, what are your thoughts on this? Why is this happening? The reason is when you charge interest, interest, the actual dollars, don't exist in this world because this is the principle. So interest does not exist. And so therefore, these are the options. I want you to think about that for a second. So when you charge interest, you are creating money that doesn't exist. At this point, you might be thinking, well, that's interesting, but this is not real. So let's make it a little bit more real. The first lesson here is what we just talked about here, okay? But let's just take this and divide it into two. One world that's on the paying side and one world on the receiving side. This is not necessarily one person. You see, what happens is no one notices this problem because there's a whole world of people here. I would say most population is in here. And this here is a small group. So I want to go back for a second and think about those who understand interest, earn it. Those who don't, pay it. But what he's actually saying is you are now putting yourself in a situation where things don't look good. These are your options ultimately. Now, again, let's go back to real life. Everyone's going to say, but doesn't exist. Yes, it exists. We're just looking at this one person represents the population. So what happens is, I'm going to show you in the next video, this problem is being passed along within the population. But ultimately, if there is $1,000 or whatever the number is, $1 trillion or whatever of money circulating, there are people on the paying side and people on the receiving side. And what happens is, this is always happening this way. There are 4 types of people when it comes to interest. There are people that pay interest. There are people that receive interest. There are people that say no interest because I don't believe in debt. I'm going to have no debt whatsoever. And there are people that what's called pass interest. No, all we covered are these 2 so far. Clearly, you don't want to be in paying interest, and the person receiving interest is over here. But what you're going to find out once we start adding inflation, that if this person is not careful, they can actually move backwards. So for now, this is bad and this is good. I'm going to change that in the next set of videos you'll see here. So the question is, ask yourself, which one are you? Because only one of those people is going to win. By the way, I want to make an assumption here. When I talked about 2 people here, I'm talking about 2 middle class. Okay? Because at some point, when you have a high net worth, it actually, things play out differently. Okay? So I'm just talking about middle class over here. So let's go back to the financial system. The financial system, there are 2 sides. There's the paying side and receiving side. There is no other side. And there are different forces, and this keeps going down. We just talked about interest. There's inflation, there's taxes, opportunity cost, there's a whole bunch of stuff here. All we talked about so far is paying side and receiving side of interest. And clearly we want to be on the receiving side of interest. We don't want to be on the paying side because paying side, things don't look good. Okay. So the first question you have to ask yourself is, am I on the paying side of interest or on the receiving side of interest? Again, I'm going to show you that you might not be clear. You might think no interest is good. What you're going to find out later is no interest actually could be bad. Okay. So I'm going to walk you through these options because you have to realize you are one of those people and only one of them knows exactly what they're doing. Go back to what Elbert Einstein said here. Those who understand interest earn it. Those who don't, pay it. Hopefully now this is giving you a deeper understanding of what he was talking about. We are talking about being a victim to the financial system or winning. So hopefully you enjoy that content. If you want more of that, go ahead and like and subscribe to our channel. We are big believers in sharing content and training that can change your life. Also, for anyone wanting a copy of the drawing I just did, download the PDF of that right below this video. You'll see a link in the description. Go ahead and download that. In fact, I would highly recommend you read some of the description we have because we always have links to videos in there that might be very appropriate or correspond to the one you just watched. Now, as a company, all we do day in and day out is we help people like you start seeing a transformation in their life. We focus on implementation. So anytime you're ready, we're here for you. Go ahead and click on the link below and let us know when you're ready and we'll get you going, okay? So with that, I'll see you in the next video.
Bueno.